All right, deputies, can you all hear me?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is approximately 11 a.m. here this morning on October 27th of 2024. And this is the first appearance here in Clayton County. My name is Judge Marcus Thorpe, and I'm one of the associate magistrate judges here this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a couple of things that we're going to go through here this morning, but as we move through this morning's calendar, if you all have trouble hearing me, please let me know, because there are a few things that I will go over with you, as I said, both during and before and after, that will be extremely important. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that I'm not here to take a plea or have any legal discussion with you about the specific facts of your case. The purpose of today's hearing is to identify with you what you've been charged with by the law enforcement, advise you of certain rights that you have, to set bond on those offenses that I may be able to do so, to schedule a preliminary hearing, and to determine whether you require the assistance of an attorney free of charge. Ladies and gentlemen, each of you has the right to remain silent. But again, please do not tell me about any specifics about your case or any legal defenses you believe you may have. This is being streamed live, and so that means that not only is this being recorded, but then there are obviously several law enforcement officers and other inmates around you that suddenly become witnesses if you say something that will hurt or help your case. Now, in addition to the right to remain silent, each of you has the right to a presumption of innocence, the right to indictment by a grand jury for felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors, the right to a speedy and public trial by jury, to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your own behalf, to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you, to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense, to have an attorney represent you. And if you cannot afford one, I'll determine if you qualify for one. And then lastly, for those of you all who are not U.S. citizens, there is the potential that some of these charges may adversely affect your immigration status. And so at the conclusion of today's hearing, for those of you all in that set of circumstances, I would definitely advise you to speak to an immigration attorney. Now, in addition to talking to you, each of you, ladies and gentlemen, about the bond, I'm also going to talk to you about the ways in which you may make your bond and also what we call special conditions. There are three ways, ladies and gentlemen, that you can make your bond, which is to be released while your case is pending. You can make your bond by either posting the bond in cash, commercial, the use of a bonding company, or a property bond. If you post the bond in cash, that means you or someone you know would have to bring down to the sheriff's office the full amount of your bond plus any sheriff's fees, and the sheriff will hold your bond until your case is closed. So the example I like to use, that if you're charged with battery, family violence, and I tell you your bond is $6,000, you would bring that $6,000 plus any fees. The sheriff holds it until your case is closed, and then that money is returned. If you do not have the full amount of the bond, you can use what's called a commercial bond or a bonding company. Typically, a bonding company will request that you provide them at least 12 to 15%, usually 15% of the bond, but you don't get that money back. And so in that same example I gave you, on $6,000, you would owe roughly about $750. And then lastly, there's what's called a property bond. And that's where either you or someone you know has 3 times the equity in the amount of bond in their home. And so if I tell you your bond is $6,000 on that battery, family violence, you would need to know someone or have yourself a piece of property that has at least $18,000 in equity. And you would need to bring that deed, or someone would need to bring the deed to that property down to the sheriff's office where they would hold it until your case is closed. Now, in addition to telling you what you've been charged with and what your bond is, we will also talk about what are called special conditions. Those conditions prohibit you from contacting certain people or going certain places. If you have what is called a no contact provision on your bond, this means you must stay away or have no contact with the alleged victim. That means you can't call, text, email, write a letter to, or contact through any social media platform. You may not even do something as nice as write a song for that person. If I tell you that you have a not to return to a particular location provision on your bond, that means you can't go back to that location for any reason. If the no return location is somewhere that you were living with the alleged victim prior to this incident happening, ladies and gentlemen, please understand that I will give you a provision that should you make your bond, you'll be allowed to go see them within 10 days of your release. And so the example that I talk about, if you're charged with battery and I tell you that you're not to return to the place where it happened and you live there, the only way you'll be able to go is I'll give you a provision in your bond that gives you 10 days upon your release, and you're only allowed there with the sheriff. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please understand that there are some of you all, unfortunately, that will not listen this morning and ultimately end up violating these bonds. But I need you each to be aware of what that means. That means that you could be subjected to additional felony charges that may include aggravated stalking or the influencing of a witness and up to 20 years in custody, as well as a $20,000 fine. I also, ladies and gentlemen, need each of you to remember a couple other things. One, that being that if the alleged victim is a person that you would like to have come bond you out, unfortunately, they are not permitted to do so by law. Lastly, that if you are on active probation, it is likely that I will not be able to give you a bond this morning. Now, lastly, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin and take the oath and begin this morning's hearings, I need you all to know that I'm also going to ask you about what is called a preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing is not your trial, but it is where you are present, the police officer and the judge, and they consider the amount of evidence against you and whether there is enough to send your case to the prosecutor. If they do not believe it's enough, your case is dismissed. Doesn't mean it can't come back, but it's just dismissed for the time being. Now, if you're charged with a felony and you don't make bond, you are automatically given that hearing, so I'll give you that hearing date this morning. If you're charged with a misdemeanor, you don't have to have that hearing. You can skip it, move your case a little faster on up to the prosecutor. And so again, if I tell you you're charged with a misdemeanor, I'm going to ask you, do you want me to set that preliminary hearing date, or would you like to waive it, meaning you don't want that preliminary hearing after all? All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, if I could have everyone please raise your right hand.
Right hand.
Do you swear or affirm that the information that you're about to give to this court, as well as any information you provided on your application for court-appointed counsel, is true and correct? And if so, I need each of you to say I do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can put your hands down. All right, Deputy, if I could have the two Spanish-speaking gentlemen, I believe I had
Go back to the right.
I believe it was Cepeda and Ramirez, I believe.
Yes, you too. Come on.
All right, Ms. Day, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, ma'am. If you would please raise your right hand.
Yes, sir.
Do you swear or affirm that the information that you will be translating here this morning, that you will do so appropriately from English to Spanish and from Spanish to English, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen.
Buenos días, caballeros.
Buenos días.
Good morning. Good morning.
My name is Judge Marcus Thorpe, and I am the judge that is going to speak to you all this morning about what you've been charged with.
Mi nombre es el juez Michael Thorpe y yo soy el juez que va a hablar con ustedes en la mañana de hoy con respecto a lo que se le acusa.
Now, gentlemen, please understand, do not attempt to talk to me about the facts of your case. I am not here to try your case or take a plea. And so let's be careful about what we talk about because this is being recorded.
Sea que caballeros tengan cuidado de hablar conmigo con respecto a sus cargos en el día de hoy. Yo no estoy acá para juzgar su caso o para aceptar una declaración a cargos y entiendan que cualquier cosa que usted diga está siendo grabada.
Okay. Now, in addition to the right to remain silent, each of you has the right to a presumption of innocence.
De manera adicional al derecho de permanecer en silencio, cada uno de ustedes tiene el derecho a la presunción de inocencia.
You have the right to an indictment by a grand jury for a felony or by accusation for misdemeanor.
Tienen el derecho a la presentación de cargos por parte del gran jurado si son delitos graves o a una acusación si son delitos menores.
You have a right to a speedy and public trial by jury.
Usted tiene el derecho de tener un juicio sin demora público y ante un jurado.
You have a right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify for you.
Tiene el derecho de exigir la presencia de testigos para que testifiquen a su favor.
You have a right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you.
Usted tiene el derecho de ver, escuchar y contrainterrogar a los testigos que sean citados a testificar en su contra.
You have a right to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense.
Usted tiene el derecho de testificar a su favor y de presentar pruebas para ser usados en su defensa.
You have a right to an attorney, and if you cannot afford one, I will consider appointing you one this morning if you qualify.
Usted tiene el derecho de tener un abogado y si usted no tuviese los medios para contratar un abogado, yo podría considerar en la mañana de hoy a asignarle uno.
If you are not a citizen, please understand that some of these charges may adversely affect your immigration status, and so I would definitely recommend consulting with an immigration attorney.
Si usted no es ciudadano estadounidense, algunos de estos cargos podrían afectar de forma negativa su estatus migratorio, o sea que yo le recomendaría que usted consulte con un abogado de migración.
Now, in addition to telling each of you what you are charged with, I'm also going to talk to you about bond, which is the amount of money you may pay to be released until your case is closed.
O sea que de manera adicional, con respecto a los cargos, yo también voy a hablar con ustedes con respecto a las fianzas, que es la cantidad de dinero adicional que ustedes pagan para poder salir.
You may make your bond by first paying the bond in cash, in addition to any fees that the sheriff requires, and the sheriff will hold it until your case is closed.
Usted podría pagar su fianza en efectivo, más los recargos que la comisaría cobre. La comisaría se quedaría con este dinero hasta que su caso concluya.
If you don't have the full amount in cash, the second way to make your bond would be to use what is called a bonding company that only requires you pay 15%, but you don't get that money back.
Si usted no tuviera la cantidad total de su fianza en efectivo, la segunda forma de hacerlo es utilizando una compañía de fianza comercial, la cual le cobraría hasta un 15% de la cantidad total de la fianza, pero no les reembolsan ese dinero.
The last way to make your bond would be if either you or someone you know owns property that they would be willing to bring the deed to down to the sheriff. And again, the sheriff will hold it until your case is closed.
La tercera forma sería utilizando una propiedad que usted o alguien más tenga y que esa persona o usted esté dispuesto a utilizar el título de la propiedad. Lo llevarían a la comisaría se quedaría con el título y con este título se lo devuelven en el momento que la fianza concluya.
Now, in addition to your charges and your bond, some of you may have special conditions which will require you to do other things.
De manera adicional a sus cargos y a su fianza, puede ser que alguno de ustedes tengan condiciones especiales adicionales en las cuales se les requiere que usted haga otras cosas.
Sometimes I may tell you to not have contact with someone. That means that you can't email them, write them, text them, or call them.
Puede ser que yo le diga que usted no puede tener contacto con esa persona. Eso significa que usted no puede llamarlo, enviarle un mensaje de texto, enviarle una carta, un correo electrónico o llamarlos.
Some of you, I may tell you that you are not to return to a particular location. Even if you live there, please do not return.
Puede ser que yo le diga a alguno de ustedes que no regresen a un lugar en particular. Hasta si usted viviera ahí, por favor, no regrese a ese lugar.
You are only allowed to return if you bond out, and within 10 days of your release, you go with the sheriff to pick up any items that belong to you until your case closes.
Usted solamente podría regresar si usted paga su fianza y sale durante los primeros 10 días después de haber salido de la cárcel. Usted podría regresar con un alguacil a retirar sus artículos personales hasta que su caso cierre.
Failure to follow those rules can subject each of you gentlemen to additional fines up to $20,000 or additional felony charges.
Si usted no sigue estas reglas, caballeros, esto lo podría a usted poner en peligro de que le pongan cargos adicionales, que le puedan también imponer una fianza de hasta $20,000 o de que le impongan cargos.
Now, the last thing I will speak to each of you about is what is called a preliminary hearing.
Ahora, lo último de lo que yo voy a hablar con cada uno de ustedes es lo que se llama una audiencia preliminar.
For those of you all that are charged with a misdemeanor, I will ask you whether you would like to have a hearing or if you would like to skip that hearing.
Para aquellos de ustedes que se le acusa de delitos menores, yo le voy a preguntar si usted quiere tener esa audiencia o si usted quiere saltar esa audiencia.
A preliminary hearing is a hearing, not your trial, where you are present, the judge is present, and the police officer is present to review your charges against you.
La audiencia preliminar no es su juicio, es la audiencia donde usted estaría presente, el policía estaría presente y el juez estaría presente para revisar las pruebas en su contra.
If the judge determines that there is not enough evidence against you, your case can be dismissed at that stage.
Si el juez o la jueza determina que no hay suficientes pruebas en su contra en esa etapa, los cargos podrían ser desestimados.
For each of you this morning, I will ask you about that hearing. If you are charged with a misdemeanor, and I will need for you to tell me yes or no.
Para cada uno de ustedes, los cuales se le acusa de delitos menores solamente, yo le voy a preguntar respecto a esa audiencia, yo necesito que ustedes me respondan sí o no.
All right. All right. So, gentlemen, with that, if I could have first Mr. Hendy Ramirez.
Caballeros, si el primero que puedo tener es Hendy Ramírez.
Marriage. Marriage.
I think you say yes.
All right. Are you Mr. Ramirez?
Yeah.
¿Es usted el señor Ramírez?
Sí.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Ramirez, you are charged with one count of disobeying a traffic device and one count of driving without a license.
Ok, señor Ramírez, a usted se le imputa el cargo de no obedecer una de las señales de tránsito y un cargo de no tener licencia.
And after reviewing the information I have this morning, Mr. Ramirez, I am going to release you. But please remember that does not mean that your case is closed.
Y después de haber revisado la información que tengo con respecto a usted, señor Ramírez, en la mañana de hoy, yo lo voy a poner en libertad, pero entienda que esto no significa que ya su caso concluyó o cerró.
So your next court date, sir, will come to you in the mail. So please be on the lookout for it.
O sea que, señor, en la próxima cita judicial que usted va a tener le va a llegar por correo, o sea que manténgase al pendiente.
Are you currently working, Mr. Ramirez?
Señor Ramírez, ¿está usted trabajando actualmente?
Perdón.
Excuse me.
Are you working?
¿Está usted trabajando?
No.
No.
Okay. So I will give you an attorney also, sir, free of charge to help you with your case.
También le voy a asignar un abogado, señor, sin cargos para que le ayude con su caso.
All right, sir. That's all I have for you, sir. Good luck to you.
Eso es todo lo que tengo para usted, señor. Buena suerte.
All right. Next up, I have Mr. Cepeda.
La próxima persona que se debe acercar es el señor Cepeda.
Are you Mr. Cepeda?
¿Es usted el señor Cepeda?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You are charged with one count of DUI,
A usted se le imputa un cargo de manejar bajo los efectos del alcohol,
one count of driving without a license,
un cargo de manejar sin licencia de conducir,
one count of driving on the wrong side of the road,
un cargo de manejar en vía contraria,
one count of failure to maintain lane,
un cargo de no poder mantener su carril
one count of open container.
y un cargo de tener un envase alcohólico abierto.
Those are all misdemeanors, sir.
Todos estos son delitos menores.
Based on that, I'm going to ask, would you like to have your preliminary hearing that I mentioned earlier, or would you like to waive your preliminary hearing?
Y basado en esto, yo le quiero preguntar, ¿quiere usted tener su audiencia preliminar, la cual yo le mencioné anteriormente, o quiere usted renunciar a tener su audiencia preliminar? I would like to have it.
Okay, sir. So your next court date, should you not make your bond, is going to be December 3rd at 8:30 a.m. and it's going to be via Zoom like this.
Y si usted no paga su fianza, va a ser su audiencia preliminar el día 3 de diciembre a las 8:30 de la mañana y va a ser vía Zoom de la misma forma que estamos teniendo esta.
Are you currently working, sir?
¿Está usted trabajando actualmente, señor?
No solamente 3 horas diarias.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Solo 3 horas.
Mr. Cepeda, just 3 hours.
Okay. And so I'm going to also, sir, give you an attorney free of charge to help you with your case.
Y también, señor, le voy a asignar un abogado sin costo para que le ayude con su caso.
Okay?
Okay.
¿Ok?
All right. So now, sir, I want to talk to you about your bond.
Ahorita, señor, voy a hablar con usted con respecto a su fianza.
Okay. Now, as it relates to the DUI, your bond amount for the DUI is $5,000.
Cuando tiene que ver con el cargo de manejar bajo los efectos del alcohol, su fianza va a ser de $5,000.
For the license charge, your bond amount is $2,500.
Por el cargo de manejar sin licencia, la cantidad de su fianza va a ser de $2,500.
For the wrong side of the roadway is $1,000.
Por manejar en vía contraria va a ser $1,000.
Okay. For the failure to maintain lane, it's $1,000.
Por no poder mantener su carril es $1,000.
And for the open container, it is also $1,000.
Y por tener un envase alcohólico abierto también es $1,000.
And so your total bond amount, sir, is $10,500.
O sea que la cantidad total de su fianza, señor, es de $10,500.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
¿Tiene usted alguna pregunta para mí, señor?
No, no, señor.
No, sir.
All right, sir. That's all I have for you this morning. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Ok, señor. Eso es todo lo que tengo para usted en la mañana de hoy. Buena suerte.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Deputy, and I believe is the last person, did you have Mr. Salazar?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so if we could bring him up to the podium, please. Are you Mr. Salazar?
Sir.
¿Es usted el señor Salazar?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mr. Salazar, you are charged with one count of simple battery family violence, which is a misdemeanor.
Ok, señor Salazar, a usted se le imputa un cargo de agresión física, violencia doméstica, lo cual es un delito menor.
Now, sir, as that is a misdemeanor, you have a right to the preliminary hearing that I mentioned earlier, or you can waive that right. Which would you like to do this morning, sir?
Ok, señor, como esto es un delito menor, usted tiene el derecho a tener la audiencia preliminar que le mencioné anteriormente, o usted tiene el derecho de renunciar a tener la audiencia preliminar. ¿Qué quiere usted hacer?
¿Cuál es la diferencia entre esos dos que pueda, o sea, tomar, o sea,
What is the difference between the two?
All right, one would allow the judge, along with the police officer, to review your charges to determine if there is enough evidence to send your case to the prosecutor, or you can choose not to have the hearing, and we will more swiftly send it directly to them.
Una le permitiría al juez y al policía revisar lo que son las pruebas que tienen en su contra y determinar si envían el caso para ser enjuiciado o nosotros lo podríamos hacer de manera más fácil o más rápida directamente.
lo que digo, o sea, que donde sería más fácil, o sea, en realidad, ¿cómo le diré? No pasó peores, simplemente fue malentendido y después ya los oficiales hasta de hecho no querían seguir con el caso, por eso le pregunto, ¿qué sería lo?
Whatever is, like you said, swiftly or easier, because everything that happened was a misunderstanding and the police officers didn't even want to proceed with the case.
So, sir, remember, we can't talk about your case. And what I'm going to do just to protect you, I'm going to go ahead and give you a hearing date of December 3rd.
Recuerde que no podemos hablar con respecto a su caso, pero lo que vamos a hacer para protegerlo es que le voy a asignar su audiencia para el día 3 de diciembre.
Okay, and that will only happen if you don't make the bond that I'm going to talk to you about. Otherwise, your next court date again will be December 3rd at 8:30.
Y esto solamente va a ocurrir si usted no paga la fianza de la cual vamos a hablar. Y una vez más, esta audiencia sería para el día 3 de diciembre.
Your bond amount, sir, for the one count of simple battery is $3,500.
La cantidad de su fianza, señor, por el cargo de agresión simple es de $3,500.
But you do have special conditions, and those are to stay away from Monica Areola,
Usted tiene condiciones especiales y esta es de mantenerse alejado de Mónica Arriola.
and you are also to stay away from the address of 3360 Rex Road.
Y también tiene que mantenerse alejado de la dirección de la 3360 Rex Road.
If that was somewhere that you were living, sir, prior to this happening, please remember you can only return with the sheriff or when your case is closed.
Y si esta era una persona con la que usted estaba viviendo, señor, antes de que esto ocurriera, usted solamente puede regresar acompañado de un alguacil o cuando su caso concluya.
I also, sir, have granted you an attorney free of charge, so you will have an attorney to assist you.
Yo también le he asignado, señor, un abogado sin costo, o sea que usted va a tener un abogado el cual le va a ayudar.
All right, sir, do you have any questions for me about anything?
Ok, señor, ¿tiene usted alguna pregunta para mí con respecto a alguna cosa?
So, el no puedo pagar para retirar, o sea, para poder salir de aquí de la cárcel, ¿verdad? No puedo entregar.
The interpreter cannot understand what Mr. Salazar is saying. The interpreter is going to ask Mr. Salazar to repeat what he just said. Señor Salazar, ¿podría usted hablar un poco más alto y más claro para yo poder entender lo que usted está diciendo?
Si el lo puedo entregar, así entregarlo para poder salir aquí de la cárcel.
Ok, le está usted preguntando al juez si usted puede pagar la fianza para poder salir de la cárcel, ¿eso fue lo que dijo?
Sí. O sea, el banco me dio es para poder salir de aquí, de donde estoy ahorita, ¿verdad?
Can I pay the bond to be able to get released from the jail?
Yes, sir. If you talk with the sheriff's office, they will assist you there.
Sí, señor. Si habla con la comisaría, ellos le van a ayudar.
Está bien, gracias.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Good luck to you.
Gracias, señor, y buena suerte.
All right. All right, thank you this morning, Ms. Daya. You have a good weekend.
You are very welcome, Your Honor. You have a good day.
All right, deputies, that should take us to our on-jots people. I've got Barksdale, Mathis, and Payne. Barksdale, Mathis, Payne, and Tripp are all female.
Yes, John.
That's four. All right, are you Ms. Barksdale? Ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Barksdale, you are charged here by law enforcement with one count of battery family violence, one count of criminal damage to property in the second degree. The battery family violence is a misdemeanor. However, the criminal damage is a felony, ma'am. And so that means that should you not make your bond here, I'm going to give you a court date, okay? Do you understand that? Your new court date, ma'am, should you not make your bond, is going to be February 4th. That's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Now, looking over the information that I have here this morning, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed attorney free of charge. And so that means you will have an attorney to assist you on your case that you will not have to pay for. Do you understand that? Ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the last thing we're going to go over is just your bond here. Your bond is $3,500 for the battery family violence. Your bond is $3,500 for the criminal damage to property, excuse me, $3,000 for the criminal damage to property in the second degree. Well, you have a total bond of $6,500. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, you do have a special condition, ma'am, and that is to stay away from the alleged victim in the matter. It is a Mr. Justin Alexander. So as I said earlier, you're to have no contact with him whatsoever, or you be subjected to new charges, okay? All right, ma'am. Well, unless you have any questions for me, that's all I have for you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, should be Miss Mathis. Are you Miss Mathis?
Yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Mathis, you were charged here by the law enforcement with a couple of charges here that we're gonna go over. The first one here is 1 count of speeding. The second, ma'am, is 1 count of failure to maintain lane. Speeding carries a bond amount of $500. The failure to maintain $500 for a total bond of $1,000. These are misdemeanors. I'm gonna ask you, ma'am, do you wish to have a preliminary hearing, or do you wish to waive that right to that preliminary hearing?
I want to have a preliminary hearing, please.
All right, ma'am. So if you don't make your bond here of the $1,000, and in the ways that we discussed how you can make it, then your next court date, ma'am, is going to be February 3rd, and it's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's going to be February 3rd, 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Now, looking at the information I have here this morning, ma'am, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer this morning. So you will have the ability to have someone assist you on your case free of charge, okay?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible for a signature?
No, ma'am. I will tell you, I considered that, but looking at some things that I had this morning, no, ma'am, you didn't qualify.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions I can answer for you, ma'am?
No, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, next up should be Ms. Payne, then Tripp, and then we'll go to the women off guard. All right, are you Ms. Payne?
Yes.
Ms. Payne, you are charged with 1 count of simple battery family violence. Ma'am, that is a misdemeanor, which means you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you can waive your right to that preliminary hearing. Would you like to have your hearing or waive it?
Have a hearing.
All right, ma'am. So given that you are asking to have your hearing, your next court date, ma'am, is going to be December 3rd. And that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. That's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's going to be December 3rd, 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be via Zoom, okay? Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
All right. So now as to your bond, Ms. Payne, you do have a bond amount here. Hold on, give me 1 second, Ms. Payne. I'm sorry. All right, so Ms. Payne, you do have a bond here that I'm going to give you. So your bond amount for the simple battery family violence is going to be $5,000, ma'am. And you will have a special condition on here. Your special condition, ma'am, is going to be that you stay away from the alleged victim here, a Miss Marjorie James, and that you also stay away from the address of 1252 England Terrace. Do you understand that? Ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, now if that was somewhere that you were living, it looks like you were living there with your grandmother. If that was somewhere you were living, ma'am, please understand, as I said earlier, that you are not to return to that address unless your case is closed or your bond is modified. So if you make this bond, ma'am, you need to be escorted by the sheriff's office and they will take you there with any items that belong to you. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, ma'am, good luck to you. All right, are you Miss Tripp?
Yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Tripp, you're charged here with 1 count of window tint violation and 1 count of driving with a suspended license, ma'am. It says here that you are currently working. How much are you making per month, ma'am?
Like 2,000.
Okay. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer here this morning, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, in addition to that, ma'am, I've gotten a chance to look over some information here that you provided this morning. And so based on the information that you provided, I am going to release you this morning. Now, let me just be clear, ma'am, that doesn't mean your case is over. It just means that you're going home until your next court date. And so it's imperative that you understand that we have your best, that you leave here at the sheriff's office, your best known address, so that they'll be able to reach you for your next court date, because they'll come to you in the mail, okay?
Okay.
Other than that, ma'am, do you have any questions for me about anything?
My dad posted a bond already, he said, so I don't know if it showed.
I have it not, ma'am. You know, if he did, I wasn't showing that you had one, so that would be something to speak to the sheriff's office about, okay?
Okay,
All right, ma'am, good luck to you.
thank you.
Mhm. I see Foster up first. Is that who you have, Deputy?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Are you Miss Foster?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Miss Foster, you are charged here with 1 count of driving with a suspended license, ma'am. That is a misdemeanor. Now, with the information that I have here this morning, ma'am, a couple of things. One, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer free of charge. And so if you need a lawyer to assist you, you will have one, okay?
Okay, sure.
The second thing, Miss Foster, I need for you to understand is that I'm going to go ahead and we're going to release you this morning.
Okay,
Please keep in mind that that doesn't mean that your case is over, as I told the person before you. It just
Okay.
means you go home pending today, but your next court date's going to come in the mail, okay?
okay,
Now, the deputy is going to have a piece of paper there for you to sign to your right. Once you sign that paper, ma'am, you should be released later today. Good luck to you.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are you Miss Lundy?
I am. Yes,
Miss
sir.
Lundy, you are charged with misdemeanor, 1 count of theft by shoplifting. Your bond amount, ma'am, is going to be $4,500. You do qualify for a court-appointed attorney. The last thing that I need to ask you, Miss Lundy, with this, you are charged as a felony. So your next court date, if you don't make that bond, Miss Lundy, I need you to understand, is going to be December 4th at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. And that court date is going to be December 4th. It's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Okay.
Okay,
So again, your bond is $4,500. I've given you a lawyer here this morning. Your bond amount is $4,500. Your next court date, should you not make your bond, is December 4th. The only other thing I need you to understand, ma'am, is that you are not allowed to return to the address of 4739 Jonesboro Road. You understand that?
yes.
All right, ma'am. Do you have any questions for me about anything?
No.
All right, ma'am. Then that's all I have for you. Good luck to you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, and are you Miss Orr?
It's incredible day. How are you?
I'm sorry, ma'am. I couldn't hear you there.
I said incredible Sunday. How are you?
I am, but I need to confirm. Are you Miss Orr?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Miss Orr, you are charged with 1 count of theft by conversion, ma'am. That particular charge, I need you to understand, is a misdemeanor. So you have a right to that preliminary hearing I talked about earlier, or you can waive that right. Would you like to have that hearing or waive it, ma'am?
You can waive it.
All right, so I'm going to show that you are waiving your right to your hearing. Your bond amount, ma'am, is $2,000. And so, of course, that'll be the amount that you'll need to pay if you would like to bond out while your case is pending. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes,
Do you have any questions about anything today?
I do. I don't have any living relatives other than myself. My daughter is at home when they arrested me. The whole thing is like a mistake. So
Okay, well, hold on. Remember, we can't talk about your facts, but
right.
what's-
So I was trying to see if I can get released to get the information I need to bring if I have to pay the bond. I have money and I have property, but I don't have anybody outside to talk to other than myself.
Well, unfortunately, ma'am, I cannot release you with these charges here today. And so unfortunately, you're going to have to remain in custody until such time as that is worked out with your lawyer, okay?
You said, oh, okay, so, okay.
I can't let you out here today.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
The bond is 2,000, you saying, right?
Yes, ma'am,
I can
$2,000.
get some. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
All right, so that should be, let me ask before we get the gentleman, did that Brian Alexander come down today?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we got it.
Okay, if we can have him up first. I don't see that I had a court appointed sheet for him. So can you all fill out a blank one and just email that over to me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, great. All right. And then he may not be able to sign because there's something going on with his in God. So
Brian.
I'm sorry. Are you Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Brian or Justin?
Justin.
Okay. So you're okay. All right, Justin. Oh, why does it keep showing up? Mr. Justin, you're charged with 1 count of battery family violence, sir. That is a misdemeanor. You have a right to the preliminary hearing that I spoke of, or you can waive your right to that hearing. Would you like to have that hearing or waive it? I'm sorry?
I'd like to have it.
All right, sir. So you're going to have that hearing date. I'm setting it for you. That date is going to be December 3rd. It's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. And again, remember, sir, that date only happens if you don't make your bond that I'm going to give you here in a second, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, so now, again, being charged with this misdemeanor battery family violence, sir, your bond amount, oh, that didn't come through, is going to be $3,500. Do you understand that? All right, now, in addition to that, sir, you are going to have special conditions on your particular matter, and those are going to be to stay away from the alleged victim in this matter, which is a Ashanti Barksdale, and also to stay away from the address of 934 Garden Walk Boulevard. From what I have here, I think you all were living together at that address. You don't have to answer it, but just from what I have, it's saying that you were. And so one of you all, I had to make a decision about one of you all remaining and the other not. And so, sir, at this point, I've made the decision that you will have to leave the residence. But that doesn't mean that you can't go back. You just have to do so with the sheriff's office within 10 days of your release, should you make your bond. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. One comment is she's not on the lease. I'm on the lease and I'm not from here, so I don't have any outside family, and she does.
Okay. And so that, here's what I can tell you. All that information, of course, I don't have when I look at this stuff. And so, you know, and I'm not suggesting that you're not being truthful. Given that I don't have that information in front of me to verify it, I have to go with what I have. And so what I would tell you is, I've given you a lawyer free of, oh, excuse me. Yeah. So whenever you hire a lawyer, because you don't qualify for a court-appointed lawyer, so whenever you do hire your own lawyer, speak to them about that, because you'll want to explain that to them, the situation that's leaving you in. And then once they, you know, understand that, they'll know what to do next to hopefully correct that situation. But again, based on what I have here, sir, I've made that decision moving forward here until such time as that is changed by either myself or a later judge at a later time. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions of me, Mr. Alexander?
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
Okay. Good luck to you, sir. All right, next up, I should have Finley, Kuhn, and Leatherwood.
Yes, sir.
All right. Are you Mr. Finley?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Finley, you are charged here with 1 count of driving with a suspended license, 1 count of operating with a without a license, without insurance, driving with a suspended, canceled, or revoked registration, and use of a license plate to conceal the identity. These are all misdemeanors, Mr. Finley. And so because of that, sir, you have the right to that preliminary hearing that I spoke of earlier, or you can waive your right to that hearing. Would you like to have that hearing or waive it?
I mean, it depends on how soon it is, because I can't really sit in.
It's not till
jail.
December 3rd.
It's not until December 3rd, but if I do waive it, then when will I be able to get to court?
That doesn't get you any quicker. So the difference on a preliminary hearing, sir, is it's a hearing where you're present, the judge is present, and the police officer who arrested you. And what they'll do is they'll review the charges and determine if there's enough evidence to move forward, or they'll dismiss your case. Or I can skip that stage and send it on up to the prosecutor, which is a little faster and get you to court a little quicker. It may not get you there before the 3rd. I can't promise you that, but it does skip that hearing date. So it's up to you what you'd like to do.
I don't know. I'm just a little confused because I don't think that I'm gonna be able to bond out, because I'm the sole provider of everything. And then I have children who I'm their sole provider, like their guardian. I have full custody over my children. And
Okay.
right now I'm not there with them, and I'm a little bit worried about them at the moment for this right here. And I mean, of course, obviously being in here, probably that's why on my paper I put, I don't know if I work or not, because obviously I'll probably end up losing my job as well, being in here.
So sir, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and set that hearing, since you don't know if you're going to make your bond. Your next court date, should you not bond out, is going to be December 3rd at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. And I'm going to give you your bond amount. Your driving with suspended license carries a bond of $2,500. The driving without insurance, $500. The registration violation, $500. The using a license plate to conceal an identity is $500. So your total bond, sir, is $4,000. Do you understand that?
Right, so is there any way that I can have another bond, like on my own recognizance?
No, sir. No, sir. I reviewed your criminal history, and I can tell you vividly, I remember that you had several license violations. Yes, sir. No, sir.
But that's absolutely untrue. We got three out last time.
Mr. Finley, that's all we got this morning, sir.
So how much is my bond?
$4,000, sir.
$4,000. Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, I mean.
All right. Are you Mr. Coon?
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Coon, get your information here. Mr. Coon, you're charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. That is a misdemeanor, sir. And so you have a right to the preliminary hearing that I spoke of, or you can waive your right to that hearing. Which would you like to do?
I don't think I'll ever get out right now. You're just gonna be sitting.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, sir.
Waive it.
Sorry about that. All right, sir. So I'm going to show that you are waiving your hearing. So when we're done this morning, the deputy to your right there will have a piece of paper for you to sign. In the interim, sir, your bond amount for that 1 count of criminal trespass is $2,500. You do have special conditions, sir. Those conditions are you must stay away from the alleged victim, a Miss Cortera Rogers, as well as the address of 5915 Trammell Road. As I said earlier, if this was somewhere that you were living, sir, understand you cannot return to that address unless you are with someone from the sheriff's office, and they will escort you there within 10 days of your release. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
As for a job, sir, are you currently working?
Yes, sir.
And how much are you making per month?
Over 2,000.
All right. So I am going to, sir, give you a court-appointed attorney this morning. You will have one free of charge to assist you on your case, okay?
All right.
All right, sir. Do you have any questions for me about anything?
No, just I can get a signature bond.
No, sir.
Step up.
Next up, I've got Leatherwood, Nelson, and then Motley. All right. Are you Mr. Leatherwood?
Sir.
Mr. Leatherwood, you are charged with 1 count of misdemeanor battery, family violence, and 1 count of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree, which is also a misdemeanor. Because of that, sir, you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you can waive that right. Which would you like to do? Have it or waive it?
Have.
All right, sir. So your next court date is going to be, if you don't make your bond, December 3rd. That's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 3rd, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Now, your bond amount as to the battery is $3,500. As to the cruelty, $3,500. So your total bond is $7,000. You do have special conditions, and they are to stay away from Carol Flores, as well as the address of 4248 Gracewood Park. Do you understand that?
Yeah, but I got a question, Judge.
Yes, sir.
What if I stay there and like she don't?
Okay, remember I said earlier, so with the information I have right now, I'm going to put that in place. However, if it turns out that that's incorrect and you stay there and she doesn't, please speak to your attorney about that and he will assist you in getting that modified. But as of right now, you are not to return to that address until that is altered, okay?
All right.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
That's a lot of your first and last name.
All right, are you Mr. Melson?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Melson, you are charged with 1 count of possession of a controlled substance. You are charged then with 1 count of possession of a firearm or knife during the commission of a crime. So, sir, I've looked at these charges, and I want to tell you, Mr. Melson, I am going to go ahead and based on the information I have, I'm going to dismiss the firearm charge. We'll only be going forward here today on the possession of a controlled substance. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, that is a felony, sir, Mr. Nelson. And so your next court date is going to be, should you not make your bond, December 4th of 2024, and it's going to be at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 4th, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Now, your bond amount for the 1 count remaining is $7,500. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, I have reviewed, sir, the information that you provided to us here this morning. You do not qualify for a court-appointed attorney. And so if you would like an attorney to assist you in your case, sir, you will have to hire your own. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir, good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, it should be Motley, Parks, and Ramirez. Are you Mr. Motley?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Motley, you were charged with 1 count of disorderly conduct, 1 count of public drunk, 1 count of obstruction, and 1 count of possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Sir, those are all misdemeanors. And so you have a right to a preliminary hearing that I spoke of, or you can waive that right. Which would you like to do? Have it or waive it?
If I waive it, what can you explain if I waive it?
So that hearing again is a hearing where you're present, the judge is present, and the police officer to determine if there's enough evidence for your case to go forward. If they say it's not, it can be dismissed, or it can always come back even if they do.
Will I be able to bond out still, sir?
I'm
Today?
sorry?
Will I be able to bond out today if I still waive it?
Yeah, whether you waive it or not has no bearing on your bonding out. Now, if you choose to waive it, your case goes directly to the prosecutor. We skip that hearing, so it moves a little quicker sometimes. But yes, sir, if you bond out, none of this will matter to the hearing. But here's what I'm going to do, since I know you have some confusion about it. I'm going to go ahead and set that court date for you, sir. It's going to be December 3rd, 8:30 a.m., and it's going to be via Zoom because you have all misdemeanors. Again, should you not make your bond, your next court date will be December 3rd at 8:30 a.m., okay?
All right, thanks, sir.
Now, as to your bond, let me give you that. As to the disorderly conduct, your bond is $1,500. As to the public drunk, $1,000. As to the obstruction, $2,500. Misdemeanor marijuana, $1,000. Your total bond, sir, is $6,000. Do you understand that?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about anything we've discussed at this point, sir?
How's that?
All right, sir, then that's all I have for you. Good luck to you. All right, are you Mr. Park?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Parks here, you are charged by the law enforcement with 1 count of driving with a suspended license, 1 count of failure to maintain lane, 1 count of driving on a suspended or canceled registration, and 1 count of following too closely. Now, they've alleged here that the suspended license, sir, is as a felony, so I'm going to leave it here for the time being. You may ultimately determine that this is a misdemeanor, but they are alleging that it's a felony because you may have priors. Now, you don't have to comment on that, but that's just what they're alleging here today. Do you understand that?
Okay.
Now, based on that, sir, your next court date, should you not make your bond, is going to be December 4th, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 4th, that's 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Okay.
Now, Mr. Parks, as it relates to your bond, the driving with suspended license carries a bond amount of $4,500. To maintain lane, $1,000. Driving on a suspended registration, $1,000, and following too closely, $500. Your total bond, sir, is $7,000. Do you understand that? Now, looking over this information that I have here this morning, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer, sir. And so you will have a lawyer free of charge that will be able to assist you on your case moving forward, okay?
Okay.
Now, based on everything we've talked about up until this point, sir, do you have any questions for me?
No.
All right, sir, that's all I have for you, sir. Good luck to you. All right. Now, you Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Sanchez, you're charged with 1 count of speeding, 1 count of driving without a license, 1 count of no proof of insurance. Those are all misdemeanors, sir. I have reviewed all of the information that I have here this morning, and based on that, sir, I am going to go ahead and release you this morning, and so you will be released. It doesn't mean that your case is closing, sir. Once you're released here later today, it just means that you'll get to go home. And so I say that to tell you, sir, that upon your release, please make sure that the best known address that you have is left there with the sheriff's office, so they can contact you to send you your next court date, okay?
Okay.
All right, sir. So there will be a piece of paper the deputy will need for you to sign, and other than that, that's all I got for you, sir. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, and are you Mr. Ian Severston?
Severson, yes, sir.
All right, sir, you were charged with misdemeanor count of DUI, misdemeanor count of open container, sir. As I stated, those are both misdemeanors, which means that you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you can waive that hearing. Which would you like to do? Have it or waive it?
I'll waive it.
All right, sir. So showing that you are waiving that hearing here this morning, then when we are done, the deputies will have a piece of paper for you to sign. As to your bond, sir, the DUI carries a bond amount of $3,500. The open container carries a bond amount of $500. And so your total bond, sir, is $4,000. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions of me about anything, sir?
I don't think so. No, sir.
All right, sir. Then that's all I have for you, sir. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Last two should be Tut and I believe Williams.
Tut.
Yep. Are you Mr. Tut?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Mr. Tut, you are charged here by law enforcement with one count of battery, family violence, one count of criminal trespass, which is also a misdemeanor, and one count of cruelty to children in the third degree, which is also a misdemeanor. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, because these are misdemeanors, sir, you are entitled to what is called a preliminary hearing, or you can waive that right to that preliminary hearing. Which would you like to do, sir? Have it or waive it?
Have it.
All right, sir. So given that you are asking me to set that hearing, so if you don't make your bond, your next court date, sir, is going to be December 3rd of 2024, and it's going to be at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 3rd, 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, as to your bond, sir, I'm showing here that it says here that you are currently on probation, and you don't have to comment on that, Mr. Tubb, but it says here that you're currently on probation out of Fayette County. Based on that, sir, I am not permitted to give you bond as it relates to the battery family violence. The criminal trespass, however, carries a bond of $2,500, and the cruelty to children carries a bond of $3,500. So on those two charges, you got a bond total of $6,000. On the family violence, you have a no bond. And so your second court date for them to reconsider bond is going to be December 6th. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about anything that we just spoke about?
No, sir.
All right, sir, then I have put all that information in for you. Again, it's $6,000 bond, no bond on the battery. You got two court dates, the 2nd and the 6th of December. Good luck to you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Now you, Mr. Williams?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Mr. Severs, he said he does not want to waive his preliminary hearing.
I've already put it in there now.
Yeah, he said he wasn't going to waive it, but
Yeah. I have to see if he can go. Can you bring him back up?
I will.
So, Mr. Severton, that's why we ask those questions ahead of time, sir. I don't have the authority or the ability to go back.
Okay, yeah,
I
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can see if our IT department can do it, sir, but I don't have. Once you tell me that, I lock it into a computer system, and it doesn't give me the authority to turn it back. But let me just ask you, because again, it's going to take a little while to even attempt to do this. Knowing what you know now, are you asking that be changed? They can change it?
Yeah, I'm trying to have the preliminary hearing.
Okay, so I will reach out to my IT department, sir, and see if they can change it. But again, just please understand, that's why I ask those questions. We go through it because I don't have the ability to.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, are you Mr. Williams?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Williams, you are charged with one count of public indecency, sir. That is a misdemeanor. Because that is a misdemeanor, you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you can waive that hearing. Which would you like to do? Have it or waive it?
Have.
All right, sir. So your next court date, should you not make your bond, is going to be December 3rd at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 3rd, 8:30 a.m., and that's via Zoom. Your bond amount, sir, is $1,500. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, I've looked over the information that you provided to us this morning here. And based on the information that I have determined that I'm going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer free of charge. You will have someone to assist you on your case free of charge to you. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir.
All right, sir, then that's all I have for you. Good luck to you. All right, so that should take us off shots. And is it Mr. Boy? Is that how you pronounce it?
It's Bowie, yes.
Okay, Mr. Bowie. So you are charged here, sir, with 1 count of improper lane change, 1 count of possession of marijuana over an ounce, of less than an ounce, and then 2 felony drugs. The improper lane change carries a bond of $500. The possession of marijuana less than an ounce, $1,000, and each of the felony charges of drugs carries a bond of $3,500. And so your total bond, sir, is $8,500. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, because you are charged with felonies, sir, I need you to understand that if you don't make that bond that we just talked about, your next court date is going to be December 4th at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 4th, 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be via Zoom.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Bowie, with the information I have given you a court-appointed lawyer, so you will get a lawyer free of charge to help you on your case, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir, do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
All right, sir, that's all I've got for you then. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. All right, so next up, it should be Mr. Dixon. Are you Mr. Dixon?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dixon, you are charged with 1 count of battery as a misdemeanor and 1 count of aggravated assault. The battery carries a bond of $3,500. The ag assault, I'm going to no bond you this morning. So you're going to have 2 court dates coming up, sir. The first court date is going to be December 4th. That's going to be your preliminary hearing. The next court date is going to be December 6th at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be via Zoom. And that's going to be where they will consider your bond again. Do you understand that?
Sir.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you have any questions of me about, oh, one other thing. I do need to tell you about your special conditions, sir. You do have special conditions, so if at some point you are given a bond on that other charge, your special conditions are this: to stay away from Miss Corrales Gregory, and then to also stay away from the address of 1350 Grove Park Lane. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir, do you have any questions about anything of me?
No, sir.
All right, sir, then good luck to you. All right, so be Robert Hector. Are you Mr. Hector?
Sir.
All right, so Mr. Hector, you are charged with 1 count of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. That does carry a bond amount, sir, of $5,000. Because it is a felony, sir, your next court date, should you not make your bond, is going to be December 4th. It's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 4th, 8:30 a.m. and that's via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir, that's all I have for you, sir. Good luck to you.
You said 5,000 was the bond?
8,000.
8,000?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, I think next up, is it Mr. Jean?
Yes.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning, Judge. Excuse me, good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing good.
Look, I want to give you my job, huh? All right, so Mr. Jean, you are charged here with 1 count of misdemeanor disorderly conduct. Now, Mr. Jean, I want to be honest with you. I reviewed the information here. The warrant against you was lacking some information. So I'm going to go ahead, sir. I'm going to release you. I'm dismissing your case. But let me be clear with you, sir. Because I'm dismissing it this morning does not mean that they can't bring it back if they want to. I'm not saying they will, but they can if they so choose. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand. But
But
I wanted to continue that because
Okay.
I did not agree with the lady.
Well, let me say that. Hold on. We don't want to get into details, but let me just say you're going home today, okay? So stay out of trouble.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then I believe that leaves us with Mr. Pantalone.
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. You were charged with 1 count of theft by conversion, sir. That is a felony. And so because it's a felony, if you don't make the bond that I'm going to give you here, your next court date is going to be December 4th at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, your bond amount is $3,500. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Then that's all I have for you this morning. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
All right, sir. Good luck to you then.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Deputy, can I ask one quick question?
Yes, sir.
So for some reason on my list on JOTS, it keeps showing up that guy I was asking about yesterday, Brian or Brain Alexander, but it's not showing up on your list. Is that right?
No, we have a Justin Alexander.
Right. We had Justin, but there's this Brian. Okay. I'm going to call IT on that Mr. Severton, and then I'm going to just let them know something's going on with that Alexander too then.
Okay, and do you want me to send that a court appointment paperwork back to you for Alexander? The Justin Alexander?
No. I've got it. I was saying
You
for
have it.
Brian. I got it for Justin. So you all don't have anything to do. I'm just going to let them know about Brian and Severton, and then we're good to go.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.
Okay.